with 1 week in market, the U.S. sales performance of Ghost of Yotei was basically flat to that of Ghost of Tsushima. It did great.
Well, I guess I'm a little out of my league here.
Oh, there is just one more thing.
He's full of shit!
What is up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the certifiably suave Dr. Disaster, and there are a lot of ways to spin numbers and data in order to tell the story that you want to be true. As an example, if I were a shill for, we'll just say the game Silent Hill F, I could look at this chart here that was just put out by Circana, and I could run with a headline saying that Silent Hill F had an amazing launch weekend, selling better than both Minecraft and GTA 5. Yeah, guys, it was a totally amazing launch. In fact, Silent Hill F was the 7th largest bestseller in September. In fact, it even outsold Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Now that's impressive.
Of course, if you take just a moment and think about all those claims that I just made, you will realize that it isn't necessarily impressive at all. Minecraft and GTA 5, both of those games released years ago, so selling better than them isn't exactly a major feat for a brand new AAA release. And Donkey Kong Bonanza came out months ago, so once again, outselling that game is not a big deal. And as for being the 7th bestseller of September, that position isn't necessarily impressive either. What we need to see are hard numbers. But when it comes to the subject of this video, Ghost of Yotei, very few people who have those hard numbers are willing to share them. They act as if doing that just isn't possible.
Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
But that is not stopping the game journalists and AAA shills from running with this chart here, where Ghost of Yotei is shown as the 4th bestseller in September in the United States. They are running with this chart and doing victory laps, as if the game was a massive success, and as if the boycott surrounding it had no effect, as if they don't remember what it was like 5 years ago when Ghost of Tsushima was released. When that game came out, everyone was talking about how amazing it was. The conversation was electric for a long time surrounding Tsushima, but the hype is already gone for Yotei. Nobody is talking about it any longer just a few weeks after release, except for these corporate ass-kissers who really need a narrative victory here. They cannot stand the idea that the chuds have any sort of influence over the industry, but at the end of the day, the raw numbers are what matter. Alinea Analytics gave us some numbers a few weeks ago, but everyone else has been tight-lipped as hell, including Sony themselves, who, as you'll recall, made a point of announcing within days of Ghost of Tsushima's release that the game had sold 2.4 million copies in 3 days. So, all we can do at this point is make educated guesses based on what we do know, roll our eyes at these corporate shills, and say to Sony,
For God's sake, just give me the damn number!
Alright, me hearties, don't forget to smack that like button on the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then what are you waiting for? We've seen a lot of new subscribers lately, as we have just surpassed another subscriber milestone, which begs the question.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow?
Yo!
We are now sitting at 169,000 space pirate a-holes in this Buccaneer crew, and as is the custom on this channel, with every 1,000 subscribers I add a new ship to our fleet in order to house the new guys. This time, one of you recommended the Ticonderoga battle station from Starship Troopers, which can be seen back here. If any of you have suggestions for future ships, drop them into the comment section and I will add them to my list. Super chats get bumped to the top of that list. And also, for your reference, I will be plugging in an alphabetical list of each ship already in the fleet into the description of this video, but in any event, I appreciate you all being here, and I will do my best to keep earning your viewership.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
But anyhow, getting back to the Ghost of Yotei stuff, it needs to be pointed out that literally the only hard numbers that have been released by any of these so-called industry experts and analysts is this here from Alinea Analytics, where they show that after a week, the game sold 1.6 million units, whereas Ghost of Tsushima sold 2.4 million in 3 days. In other words, Yotei took twice as long to sell 2/3 the amount of copies. Now, I don't know about you, I'm not a mathematician, but that sounds to me like a significant drop-off in sales from the original. And yet, the game journalists are running with the fact that Ghost of Yotei was the 4th best-selling video game in the United States in September as proof positive that the boycott had no effect, as if anyone who dared to fight back against the corporate powers that be is just a big loser. In a word, they would say that we are chuds. But this really comes off as just another Assassin's Creed Shadows situation, where they are desperate for a win. And even though the company that made that game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, refused to share sales data, they spun it as a success until finally the wheels fell off, and months later they had to admit that it was a dud. They tried that same thing with Dragon Age the Veilguard last year. They tried it with Star Wars Outlaws, and I suspect that that is what we will see with Yotei as well in a few months. It's funny how the data that they're using stretches all the way out to October 4th, even though what we're talking about is September, meaning that they are counting the first 3 days of Yotei's release, which sounds impressive that they would have been one of the higher sellers in September with only 3 days of release. But of course, the first few days of release, is when the bulk of sales come out for a game. Between pre-release orders and people picking it up on launch weekend, there is always a spike in sales right at launch, and then it trails off, and this data that they are using conveniently includes precisely the launch weekend dates for Ghost of Yotei. I will be very curious to see what October numbers look like in full when they come out. And what's also amusing to me is how this turd burglar here at Circana is gobbling all over Sony, trying desperately to spin things for them. He wrote,
"With 1 week in market, the U.S. sales performance of Ghost of Yotei was basically flat to that of Ghost of Tsushima."
That wording, basically flat, is interesting though. What the hell does that mean? Basically flat? If my basketball team scores 100 points in the game and your team scores 70, I mean, the scores are basically flat, right? Sure, my team won, but your team scored over 2/3 of the points of my team. We might as well just call it a draw, right? Well, I don't think that's how it works. The dude said that in 1 week in the market, they were basically flat. Both of these games, Yotei and Tsushima. But what happened after that 1 week? Did it fall off because they exhausted all of the people who were enthusiastic about supporting a game made by people who cheered on the death of Charlie Kirk, and now there's no word of mouth helping it out? Sequels to successful games usually outsell the originals by a wide margin, as I have talked about on this channel before, but instead, Yotei is trailing behind. Now, we have Jay Viper, who was quite good at nailing down the numbers for Dragon Age the Veilguard and Assassin's Creed Shadows. He is claiming that the game has stalled out according to his tracking metrics. He's saying that it stalled out and is struggling to hit 2 million in sales even after being on the market for going on a full month. And his numbers lined up perfectly with the little snippet that Alinea Analytics put out a few weeks ago. But all we have here with Circana is spin, and the game journalists are taking this info and running with it. Let's take a quick peek at what these bozos at Push Square have to say about the situation. The language they use is just so ridiculously on the nose, what you would expect from these game journalists, that you would almost think that it was written with the AI prompt, "Write me an article defending Ghost of Yotei in the style of a 2019 game journalist." If you did that, then this article here is almost certainly what that AI would spit out. Anyway, it says here,
"There was a small pocket of social media users who insisted Ghost of Yotei would be a failure. Unfortunately for them, the Sucker Punch sequel has done great. A vocal minority of the terminally online took umbrage with the release's heroine, as well as some industry drama involving employees at the first-party PlayStation developer, but any boycotts that may or may not have been entertained failed spectacularly, as the game debuted fourth in Circana's physical and digital software sales charts for September."
You hear that, folks? It's over. We have no power over the industry at all. Never mind Dragon Age the Veilguard's flop. Never mind Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Never mind Assassin's Creed Shadows, or Avowed, or Star Wars Outlaws. AAA developers are all crushing it, and we're just stupid for thinking it could be anything else, and we should just disband with our push against these titans of brilliance and excellence immediately. Never mind the fact that Sony refuses to publish the hard numbers this time. That doesn't mean that the game is underperforming. Trust us, bro, the experts are never full of shit. But I'm gonna leave it there. Drop your contempt for the way these idiots operate into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.